Okay, so welcome to in the Google interview. So can you tell me about your favorite Google products?
Sure. So yeah, I would have to say my favorite Google product that I use a lot is the Google Drive program. I definitely utilize that a lot in order to store my documents, and I find it really helpful, especially through my years at school, to use all of the Google Docs and Google Sheets and stuff, especially for collaborative assignments.
Nice. So in terms of this position, so can you tell me why this position? Where do you see your career moving?
Sure. So, I mean, there's a couple things I'm looking for in a software engineering position, and I think one of the big ones at this stage in my career is somewhere that I'll be able to get experience with a lot of things and be able to really learn a lot. And Google, with just what Google has done and sort of the size of the company and the number of opportunities at Google, I know that I'll be able to sort of get all of that experience and you really get that environment where I can really learn and grow as a new software developer. So
Nice. So can you tell me about a challenge or conflict you faced as your past job? Because I saw you have a previous internship experience and you also have some interesting project as well.
sure. Yeah. So you know, starting, with the internship, I would say the biggest challenge is sort of the shift from sort of the educational computer science to a more, corporate development, actually, producing these things at scale, working on larger teams, working, within teams at the company. There's multiple teams, but a lot of them overlap, that sort of communication between teams. And then there was the big there was a challenge in terms of learning all of the new systems, how the infrastructure is built up, and then there was I think the other big challenge was taking a code base that I've never worked on before and going through and understanding how the code base works, right? In school, you take a project and you start from the ground up, right? And you understand how everything works because you're building it from the ground up. But, that I would say that was a big challenge for me was learning the current system and how it worked and really getting a grasp on that. So, it was challenging, but I did it. I worked through. I contacted the people that I needed to contact outside of my team that had worked on the parts of the code base that I needed to become familiar with in order to, figure out how they worked. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the working environment between networks and the Google, they are share the similar experience, and that's definitely helpful. And can you tell me about the time where you encounter a problem and you have come up with a creative solution?
Sure. Let me think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, I guess so. One thing that, talking about sort of this understanding code bases and then being able to update them, or being able to work with a pre-existing code base. At my internship at MathWorks, one of the things I was working on this transition to module federation, which is a way of loading modules for different applications. You have some big monolithic webs, website basically, whatever, and you want to share bits of code between them. MathWorks had some in-house thing that they had been doing before, switching over to this module federation thing. How do we get those to sort of be compatible, because Module Federation has a different implementation than their in-house thing. So, how do we sort of get those interfaces to mesh? And, I had to come up with some sort of creative solutions for working around some of the drawbacks of the old system, and linking up those two things, which included some workarounds that would let us use these old style modules with the new Module Federation, and that kind of thing. So
Nice. The last question is, do you prefer working in small teams or the large teams, and why?
sure. So at least with my experience so far, I will have to say that most of my experience has been on small teams. In school, a couple team projects, they've all have been 3 or 4 people, maybe 5. At MathWorks, I'm on a team of about 3 or 4 people. So in terms of my experience with small teams, I enjoy working on small teams, but even at MathWorks, like I said, I'm within a small team, but there's a lot of collaboration with other teams. So in terms of small teams versus big teams, I know small teams better, and I'm comfortable working in small teams, but I also have that experience of working in these sort of larger groups, within those, small teams working together. So I'm also, comfortable working with sort of smaller team structure or larger team structure.
Great. So I prepared one easy lead code question
Sure.
for you. So for warm up, if you solve that quickly, we can move to another question. So I will send the link in the chat.
Okay. Let me get that. And let me go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, can you see that?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Given a string S, find the first non-repeating character in it and return its index. If it does not exist, return -1. Okay, so non-repeating. So an L, this is a V, okay. And then they're all repeating. Okay, so
okay, so you are solving this problem with JavaScript, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with JavaScript. So just sort of initial ideas on how to go about this.
Yeah, I
So
think the first step is to think about appropriate data structure to solve this problem.
Yeah. So at the moment, what I'm thinking is sort of a 2-pass solution, where first I go through the list and I create like a hash table where I save all of the letters, and then pass through that hash table and see, well, but I need the index of it, not the actual character. All right. In that case, if
is there a way you think you can store the character itself and its index at the same time?
Store the, so yeah, yeah, so what I could do is I could do map the letter or
Yeah, just take it easy. Just
yeah,
think of any.
sure. So if I map the letter to the index and then I want to do this in like an an O of n. I don't want to just check if
Yeah, so this question is, finding the first unique character in a string. So, uh, it's not that complicated. If you can use a hash map, of course, but you can also, just use iteration as well. Depends on how you, choose
right.
and to solve it, whether to solve it in linear time or not.
Yeah, that's right. So if I were to solve it in nonlinear time, a nonlinear solution, I could just um uh loop through, and then if the letter does not exist, so I don't know if there's a string version of index of.
Yeah, I think, JavaScript also can return the index of the string or character in the string. I think it's called the index of.
Yeah, index of so this would be sort of an O of n squared, I think. Oh, sorry. I need a index of has a start index, I think. Maybe. Yeah, so I think this should check if starting at this place, the index does not exist of that letter. That will mean it's unique, return I, and then just at the end, return -1. So we can maybe, take some example test cases, see that. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so it's not returning I. Okay, so I think the index of might not be working correct as I think it does.
JavaScript also has, besides the index of, it also has a method called last index of. Can you, think of how to use the both methods, at the same time?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so if I do something like this, I think this is even worse time. Something like that. So if the first index is, there we go. Okay. So, yeah, the time, well, okay. All right. So that passed fine. Actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a linear solution. There's
Yeah, you can
probably
just describe, what it looks like. Don't need to, solve it in perfectly.
Yeah. So for a linear solution, I would I think you can probably do it in 2 passes where you take a hash map you so you take a hash map of letter to frequency. So you store the frequency of each letter. So that's your first pass. You're going to loop through and you're going to store the frequency of each letter. And then so basically on the first pass, you make the hash map of letter to frequency. And then on the second pass, if the frequency is 1, you're going to return that I. So it's a better time complexity because you're doing it's linear time. It's just 2 linear passes. I think in some cases it will be worse because you have to do 2 full passes. On this one, you could, exit early on the first pass. So there is some, downsides, but yeah.
Yeah, I think you are on the right track. I think you'll solve it in linear time. So this question is to prepare for the second question. Actually, the
Okay.
second question is a little bit more complicated, but it's definitely we'll use some ideas from the first question. So I send the second question in the chat.
Okay. Okay. Longest consecutive. Okay, the longest consecutive element sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4. Therefore, its length is 4. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, I think what makes this question medium level is that you must write an algorithm once in linear time, or the runtime.
Yes. So,
But I think to solve it in order and log n time is quite easy. If you and match everybody's intuition.
Ooh. Okay, this one seems a bit tough. O of n time.
So if if we don't have any time limits for this problem, how would you solve this question?
Okay, so with no time limits, I mean, yeah, with no time limits, you can sort it and then do a single pass through and just keep track of, whatever your longest, consecutive element sequences. So then you're getting some n log n solution.
Yeah. First, try solving that.
Yeah. So I think the sort is just, nums dot sort, and then we can have some equal to 0. 0 for so we're going to loop through. And we'll just say So I guess if we'll just say if it's length 1, we'll just return 1, and then we'll start at 1 so that we can look behind us. If nums I is equal to nums I minus 1 plus 1, cur consec plus plus, else if cur consec is greater than max consec, cur consec sec equals 0. Okay, so something like this.
Yeah, that looks good to me.
Okay. Oh, I got the wrong answer though. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Max consec equals cur consec plus plus nums I minus 1 plus 1. Yeah, that seems right. Let me just confirm that this sorts in place. It might
Yeah, sure.
return the sorted array. It does not sort in. Oh.
Yeah.
That is odd. Okay. A, B, A is less than B. Something like that. So I guess, why is it sorting like this? What? Nums dot sort does not appear to be working how I want it to. 1, 100, 2, 200, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Thought you could do a function like that. 104, 200, 132.
I think, maybe try this. I type in the chats.
A minus B. Interesting. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's close. So I guess we have 1 instead of 0. Okay. So yeah. So if we use example test cases, this is, yeah, an O n log n. Oh, apparently not. 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. I think you are close to the right solution, but there are some minor errors.
Yeah. So I think it's 0, 3, 7, 2. Nine, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no. I said only 1.
Yeah, what happens if two, adjacent elements are equal?
So yeah, here it's This is 9, which is 0 through 8. So the double 0 shouldn't doesn't count as consecutive. So this should be
Yeah.
9. It's coming out as a 1 though, which is very odd because this only gets updated. Kirk-and-Sec is greater than you're going to update. Nums I is equal to nums I minus 1 plus 1. So I know it's being sorted right now. Get rid of that. All right, let's get rid of this first case. Okay, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 6, 5. So yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
So this plus 1, they should be equal. Yeah. Kirk-and-Sec plus plus.
Yeah. Any idea why it's not working?
Okay. I believe I do know. So this, because the sequence goes to the end of the array, it's not checking sort of the final time. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, so this will not pass. Will not pass this because it's n log n. It's using the sort function.
I think
yeah, wrong answer though.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is just a bad empty array, which returns max consent.
Yeah, that's another edge case as well.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, you still have some. Oh, you shouldn't change the current consecutive value. I think it will. But you can just add a simple edge case, at the top of the function. I think that will work.
Yeah, so just one, 2, 0, 1 should be 0, 1, 2. So yeah, if it's equal. I guess we don't do anything. That's odd. Okay, so it technically passes, and if I remove the console log, it should be a little quicker, but interesting.
Yeah, I think the timer does not have a high constraint on this problem.
Yeah.
But so I noticed that during the process of this of your solution, you already think of some ideas to how to solve this problem in linear time. So so for this question, you are counting the elements with only one in difference. So do you want to change this question to another way and to make it easier?
Yeah, so yeah, I feel like there's some way to sort of like build sort of like a graph as you're going, you can add to the ends and that will increase your sort of the size of that consecutive thing. So let me think. If I,
Yeah, so notice your output right now. So you can change this question to another type of question actually. So is when you do the iteration, you can have an easier way to check the elements.
so are you saying for a linear solution or just an easier for this one?
Linear solution. Yeah.
For a linear solution.
Yeah.
For a linear solution, yeah, because it can't be sorted if it's linear. So,
So actually, you can turn this question into a question that is finding the consecutive sequence, with the same elements. Can you think of that?
consecutive. I'm not sure what consecutive sequence with the same elements.
Yeah. So it's like if you have an sequence like 1, 2, 3. So if during the iteration you make it become like 1, 1, 1. Does that make the question easier?
1, 2, 3 to become 1, 1, 1. Ah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, so I guess my idea would be if I have well, I still need to know how to be able to add on to the sequence depending on the number.
Yep. Yeah, if you think my solution is not very clear, you can just think of your own solution as well.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah, could you sort of go over the idea of your solution again? So if I have 1, 2, 3,
Yeah, so the idea is to, you know, decrease the element by one, when you do the iteration and compare to the first elements.
right, but you still need, because you need to know that 3 is, you still need 2, because you need to know if 3 is next to 2.
Okay.
Um,
So also, another way to solve this bilinear time is to use a hash table, you know, and and also there's a way to solve it using DFS as well.
DFS too. Okay.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think DFS is a bit hard to understand.
Okay.
To
Yeah,
create.
I'm trying to think of a hash table solution. That's sort of
Yeah.
the way I've been thinking about it, but okay. So if I have maybe some,
Okay, I think time is
yeah,
running up, and I sent you a good solution I found on the discussion platform. You can check it
sure.
out.
Yeah. JavaScript O event solution.
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
great
so
to
using
solve it using
sets. Okay.
the sorting method. I think that's still a good performance so far.
Sure. Yeah. Um, okay. Yeah. So this is utilizing sets and this is utilizing. Okay. Okay, sure. Boundary points of the sequence. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll definitely sort of look at some of those solutions, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And and thanks for the interview. And I will notify the decision to you in like several days.
I
And
look forward to it.
yeah, and look forward to meet with you on the next step. Thank you.
All right, thank you.